And welcome back to the Cover 3 podcast here on CBS Sports. That's Tom Fornelli. That's Bud Elliott. That's Danny Kanell. I'm Chip Patterson coming to you live at youtube.com/cover3 and everywhere you get your podcasts on demand. Thanks for hanging out. Smash that subscribe, smash that like, and come and join us in the chat, a.k.a. the Cover 3 tailgate, where I saw them asking in full auto-tune voice as much as you can in the tailgate, how many coaches going to get fired this fall? Woo, boy. Listen, we need to not waste any more time. Mel Tucker, come on down. Let's jump on the carousel. When we had that graphic made, we said it was very important that we have a big, large stack of money, and that is exactly what Penn State has pulled together. Upwards of $45-50 million to buy out James Franklin. No rumors, no long drawn out. This was a swift news university release, axe down. We are moving ahead as a college football program after a lengthy run, 104 wins from James Franklin, a Big Ten championship, a college football playoff appearances, handful of top 10 finishes. He is out. Penn State is moving on. Thank you to everybody who tuned in, either live or checked us out on demand for the instant reaction show. Now we've got the full group together. And yeah, we will continue the coaching carousel conversation in terms of the next steps. But Danny Kanell, your instant reaction, your thoughts here on James Franklin out at Penn State.
Wow. Like the fall from just 15 days ago being on verge. I mean, it was not, I mean, how does this happen this fast? You know, it's unbelievable how you could be a program that looked like they were sitting on top of the college football world, a preseason favorite to be the, national championship pick, who I picked to be, I was one of those who bought in to all the pieces they're bringing back, like veterans, quarterback. You go out and you get all this and you're in overtime. Like, it's not like you got embarrassed against Oregon, but you're like, oh, here we go again. And you lose that game. And then to see these back-to-back losses, it's just astounding to see how fast it could happen. Like, I wonder where James Franklin is right now. I'd imagine he's probably getting his family, getting to a beach somewhere and just be like, let's just escape from all the hysteria. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I saw this Matt Fortuna tweet. Unbelievable to see how fast it can happen. I do wonder how in the college football economy, like, where does all this money just come from so easily? Because I think we make a lot of assumptions. Well, that's a lot of money. There's no way we're going to be able to come up with that. And then magically, it just appears out of nowhere, and you can make this type of change. It's remarkable. It just reminds you nothing should surprise us. There is no job that's secure. It is crazy.
Money isn't real, Danny. It's all just something we agree to pretend exists.
Deep thoughts on a Monday. Let's go.
If it's in the 40s and there's an offset in Franklin's deal, apparently Franklin is a good enough coach to where he can get another real job if he wants to. He might just decide to chill on the beach for a little bit or do some TV. I don't know. And you can pay it off over a couple of years. I really don't think it's quite as huge as a number as it sounds. Like Mark Stoops' number at Kentucky.
I was going to say, Stoops is the one where the number's big, but you go into the language of the contract. Some of these contracts are due in full in 30 days or 60 days or 90 days. You got to have tens of millions ready to go. But if it's just a line item of just paying out just like another assistant over the course of the next 15 years or so, it's a little bit of a different math. I am not privy to the contract details of this buyout in particular.
I heard on the Insiders or on HQ that Talty said there is some offset, I believe. I think it was Talty. So that certainly helps the number a little bit, right? If you're offsetting that by maybe 20 over the next 5 years or something like that, maybe I don't know what percentage is subject to the offset, but if you're Penn State, you can afford this.
No, do you endorse the move from Penn State?
Look. Penn State should be in the best position to make Penn State decisions. It doesn't mean that you have to just stamp every decision that a program makes. A lot of them make bad decisions, but if they feel like, hey, Franklin misevaluated this roster as to what he had. He was openly saying this was the best roster we've ever had. It's the best coaching staff. that we've ever had, and you don't beat Oregon, which, in hindsight looks worse now that they've lost at home by double digits to Indiana, and then you proceed to lose to UCLA and Northwestern, who are arguably the 2 worst teams in the Big Ten. Maybe not solidly there, but you're like, hey man, it used to be that you won the games you're supposed to win, and you never leveled us up, to that top level, and we are committed to playing at that very top level. So, you see what USC is doing right now. They have the number 1 recruiting class in the country. Looks like they have some momentum. They're spending. Maybe Riley's getting some things turned around there. I think he did a hell of a job there, right? And some of the names being thrown out, I'm like, I don't think that's an upgrade over James Franklin. But sometimes a fresh start, and sometimes your time has just run its course. So perhaps, right? I don't. It's a risky move. They're hoping he's Mark Richt and not Bo Pelini.
I like that line. Hey, can I pitch something at y'all? I think James Franklin will be my favorite hire of the 2025-2026 coaching cycle, and that includes whoever Penn State hires.
Ooh.
So
that he will get another job, and I will be more enthusiastic about James Franklin at whatever job that is than I will be about who Penn State hires. I don't know. It's just a think. It's just a gut feel here.
I get it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys discussed Matt Rule an awful lot, and I obviously had him on my list because of the connections. He's very buddy with the AD, Pat Kraft there.
He's at Temple with him.
Worked for him, yeah.
We always do the Temple thing as like a big foundational part of the Matt Rule story. So yeah, Pat Kraft was there.
I don't know that solves a lot of your complaints. What were your complaints about Franklin? Doesn't find a way to score points. Matt Rule is definitely not a guy whose teams score points. Not traditionally, not historically. He finally got rid of his buddy at OC and brought in a guy who has a history of scoring points. They are scoring some more points this year, so maybe that's a step in the right direction. I don't think he's a better recruiter than James is, right? I don't think he's got a better history of hiring assistants than James does. So this better not be, hey, the AD wants to hire his buddy for a decision of this kind of money. But the thing is, his buddy has a good track record. Rule could work out there great.
Sure.
We don't know if it will or if it won't. But I mean, they're like 2 very close games away from having 3 losses right now. Cincinnati game, if Cincinnati's quarterback doesn't throw that YOLO ball there at the end, since he was moving it on him consistently, and they almost lost to Maryland. So, but they didn't. They won the games.
You know who else worked at Temple though for the years when Pat Kraft was the AD? He was on Matt Rule's staff.
Manny Diaz
he was on Matt Rule's staff. Fran Brown.
Ooh.
One Tyler Donahue of Lions 247 brought up, which I think would be really interesting. A guy who does have a good track record of making hires, a guy who I think can recruit. You have to look at his tenure at Miami quite differently when you see the massive resource difference that Miami gave to Mario, which granted Mario brought with him because some of these mega boosters are Mario's buddies. And I don't think Manny was going to get that there from Miami, but he's done a really nice job at Duke. He's a defensive guy who likes to score points and allows an offensive coordinator to actually operate. I wouldn't hate that. He also coached at Penn State.
Yeah.
And I thought your Matt Campbell one was really good. I didn't have Matt Campbell on my list because he's not a guy I think of as like an offensive dude who wants to score points, hasn't shown that he's a top flight recruiter. But that would make a lot of sense. He's a very competent guy. I think Matt Rule's competent. I just don't know if any of these guys are no doubt big upgrades over what Franklin does.
I talked about it on the show yesterday, but with Manny Diaz, a lot of the in-game coaching decisions, I think that he gets away with them because he's at Duke and nobody's watching. If you ask Miami fans, just some of the decisions he would make during the game were kind of confounding. And then I feel like if he was at Penn State, he was in the spotlight more. I just feel like that would get him in trouble pretty quick.
I think the sport's shifting to what he does, though, in terms of finding your optimal amount of aggressiveness. But yeah, I mean, back then it was really controversial, and certainly bigger program, you're going to get blasted when some of that stuff doesn't work out.
Manny Diaz is a sensible.
It's very Dan Lanning-ish, though.
Manny Diaz is a more sensible hire for me looking at Penn State if they didn't just pay $50 million to buy out James Franklin.
Yeah.
If you pay $50 million to buy out James Franklin and hire Manny Diaz, and it's okay, all right, Manny, Let this. I mean, you want to talk about being set up with an intense amount of pressure? I mean, that would be I think Manny Diaz is very capable. I think he has been on quite the walkabout. I mean, you go all the way back to his early time as an assistant. I mean, Manny Diaz has been around and been in a lot of places. He's got some scars. He has seen some wars, and I think that he might be interested in that, or he might be interested in continuing to build at Duke, where I think particularly in this season, he's done a good job of steadying that team after those 2 losses to Illinois and Tulane in the non-conference portion.
Do you think Penn State gets their first choice?
No.
Yeah.
Well, who do we think their first choice is?
Well, that's how.
Well, the fan base's first choice, I think, right now, like of realistic options, is Signetti. But I went over yesterday why I don't think that's likely. And also, I will point out, where Pat Kraft got his degree from?
Indiana.
Yeah. Is he going to want to go to his alma mater and steal their football coach from him? I don't know.
Yeah.
But just
I don't now.
I just don't think that, like, if you're Signetti, Penn State's a better situation than the one you currently have.
We also have no idea, and we're going to talk about this also in an hour on the recruiting hour with Andrew Ivins, but we have no idea if Signetti can recruit high school. Doesn't mean he can't. We just don't know it because Indiana is almost entirely transfers, and he's done an amazing job with the portal, but we don't know. Now, he's worked for Saban. He's worked for some operations that do recruit well, so that if you want to believe that he can do it, I'm not going to doubt the guy that he can, but there's not evidence that he actually can do it.
So Kurt Signetti has 2 ranked wins in the 2025 college football season. Can anyone tell me when Matt Rule's last ranked win was?
Oh, it was a long
probably
time
at Temple.
Ago. It was at Temple.
It was in 2016 against number 19 Navy.
Oh, I was joking. Really? He hasn't beat a single ranked team at Nebraska?
He beat 0 ranked teams at Baylor. He beat 0 ranked teams. I believe it is 17 consecutive losses to top 25 opponents. That's not top 10. That is not an issue against top 10 opponents. Ooh. That is an issue against top 25 opponents. Correct me, please.
I think if he was coaching Penn State, he would have an easier time beating ranked opponents.
Agree.
Than he would at Nebraska and Baylor.
That's fine. Again, last ranked win, 2016, December 3rd against number 19 Navy.
Wow.
So, you trade.
Remember that 2016 Navy team? It was a juggernaut.
Hey.
And he knocked it down.
I think that's a conference championship game, right? Yeah. American Athletic Conference Championship game, December 3rd.
Was Navy in the American back in 2016?
Yeah.
Have they been in there that long?
Yeah.
Wow.
Keenan Reynolds.
You're right.
Getting it done. All right. So if they're not going to get their first choice, where does the search? What are the other names that stick out? Tom and I played this game a little bit yesterday, but just because it is an amazing college football job, steeped in history, steeped in passion. The other side of, oh my gosh, they'll pull together 45, 50 million to get you out says they care a lot. So you should have resources and some more flowers for the recently fired coach. That program is in a way better position because of the work that James Franklin did while he was in Happy Valley. He left that program better than he found it. And so it is a better job now than when he took it as a head coach more than a decade ago.
You are going to have to portal a lot of an offense to Happy Valley. They lose a bunch of this offense. Defensively, I think they're probably okay. Do you look at somebody who brings their quarterback with them? I don't think they're going to hire. Just look at some of his names in the chat. I don't think Schiano is a serious candidate for Penn State.
I don't think anybody who was mentioned in the whole Sandusky stuff has a chance.
Also, he typically doesn't score points. That's the most consistent knock on James Franklin, other than the big game James stuff. Doesn't score points. Offense doesn't come through. No. And I don't think you go get Dan Mullen after how he managed. I think Dan Mullen's a great underdog program coach. I don't think the way he managed the operation at Florida would give you warm fuzzies if you are Penn State.
I think Dan Mullen would do better at a Power 4 job than he did at Florida because of the new rev share and stuff like that. But I don't think it's the right hire for Penn State.
Anybody else?
Rule and Raiola package deal?
Oh,
I mean, and that's Tom's favorite QB.
It's an upgrade over Aller.
Yeah, he probably could get it to happen.
All right, here's what we need. We need photoshops of Dylan Raiola doing this one right here with the Penn State blue and the white helmet. He's got 1 year of eligibility left, you know?
Yeah.
Man, you want to talk about winning the press conference and just like putting some real hype into it. I mean, one of the best podcast hosts among all college football coaches, bring in his podcast and his quarterback.
Matt Rule is really good at the media stuff, for sure.
Yeah,
he's great at it.
If you're Penn State and you're like, wait, he hasn't beat a single ranked team at Nebraska, it doesn't give you like a lot of confidence that he's going to be better than James.
Are there any chance they'll go for like a Golesh or somebody at the group of 5 who's crushing it?
Maybe. I don't know if that. I mean, Golesh has experience in the Big Ten. He was on Illinois staff for a while. I think if you want to bring in an offense that's going to score a ton of points, Golesh is a great hire. I think if you want to compete for national titles, I don't know if that offense is the one you want to bring in. Because to this point, that offense hasn't really proven to be that.
Yeah. And yeah, Dylan Raiola has 2 years of eligibility left. I was working the clock the other way in terms of
He thinks he's going
how many
to
more
NFL.
How many more he has to spend in college before he's NFL eligible?
A name
If
I
you're
mentioned
Matt
yesterday-
Campbell. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say Eli Drinkwitz is a name that I think has to be on their list.
That's the one I brought up on HQ.
Yeah, I think you're doing a disservice to yourself if you don't at least check to see how interested he would be in this gig.
I mean, you think about it, he recruits really well. He's been very progressive in terms of like embracing some of the NIL stuff. He also, I think, has done a tremendous job of he's had to replace coordinators as bigger programs hire them away. And one of the hallmarks of good coaches is that they do hire better, like they continue to hire good coordinators and figure it out. You know,
he could bring his quarterback with him too.
Bring his quarterback with him too.
Yeah.
And in the world of, and look, we are giving a lot of flowers and spotlight to Penn State as a job, but you are still also playing that role in the Ohio State, Michigan power dynamic. Drink is an MFer. And I say that endearingly, you know, like if you need somebody to poke the bear and sort of rile things up, if you want someone who's going to be able to, get a little chesty against the old guard, Drink is an MFer who I think could at least occupy that space of where Penn State sits, just kind of vibes wise in the Big Ten.
We had a lot of people pushing back saying it's a better situation in Missouri. That's crazy talk, right?
It's not crazy talk, but
it's not crazy talk, but it's not my opinion. My opinion is that Penn State's a better job, but I don't think it's insane to favor Missouri.
There is a bit of like how much of Missouri's success under Drink is sustainable because they had first mover advantage in some of the NIL stuff. They were early to adopt it. They were early to embrace the NIL. They were early to embrace the portal. Now that other teams are catching it up a little bit more, like that's interesting.
Missouri was one of the first ones to get the state legislature involved.
Mm-hmm.
They were the first ones to pass laws that said you can get NIL money in high school if you're committed to an in-state university. I mean, that's just when they talk about first mover advantage. They saw the light. They're like, here's how we get this going.
So, I do think Matt Campbell would leave Iowa State.
Yes.
Yes.
Like Florida State thought he was coming before they hired Norvell. Like when they set that little press conference up, it wasn't for James Franklin. They thought Matt Campbell was coming that day. But do you think he's going to wait it out another year for Michigan? Because like in the industry, the people I talk to are like, hey, like Michigan is the one that has his heart.
I mean, maybe, but
would you turn down Penn State to wait on Michigan?
That's what I'm saying. That's a risk.
I don't know if that's ballsy.
Yeah, because like if you do that, like is Rocco Beck back next year? Or is he done? Like you might be 7-6 next year. You might not be very attractive. We've seen that kind of downturn. So
what are you going to finish this year? 6-6?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if you're Matt Campbell and you're only considering leaving Iowa State for one of these big time jobs, it'd be hard to pass up on the big time job coming right now.
Yeah. I mean, you never know what the cycles are going to be like. And Matt Campbell probably needs to test himself at any place that's got that kind of resources and those kinds of recruiting expectations. So yeah, I think that I would not pass on Penn State to wait on Michigan. All right, this is obviously going to be an ongoing story. Any other threads that you want to pull on here? Oregon State, UAB decided that they wanted to get in on the James Franklin sweepstakes. Oh, here's the thought. Danny, do you think that this leads other schools to take action? That was another point we talked about yesterday. James Franklin's on the market. If you're Florida, if you're Auburn, if you are, one of these schools that we think will be open eventually, do you think that this speeds up the decision-making process?
I never thought we'd be sitting here October 13th with 7 coaching hires available. So I'm not going to say that this doesn't spur some more action sooner rather than later. Like, it does seem to be the trend that people are like, yeah, I'm going to get to the front of the line. So yeah, I do think it could lead to some more decisions being made here sooner.
Who is front of the line over Penn State?
Right now, of the likely possible openings, I would say Florida's the biggest candidate to be ahead of the line.
Yeah, I would say Florida. All right, so like the 3 in the SEC that I think everybody would be monitoring, right? Auburn, LSU, Oklahoma.
And LSU's the funny one because they're still a 5-1 football team.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I don't think all of those are going to open. But
Florida and Auburn seem far more likely based on the result. Like, even with Florida getting the win against Texas, you kind of see what's happening right here. Yeah. What about Oklahoma? Is Oklahoma all good?
I mean, I don't think they're going to fire Brent Venables, and I think they're going to get Mateer back for another year.
The start was good.
Back half of that season could be pretty rough, though. It's like that 5-0 start might be a distant memory in about a month.
So if they finish 8-4 or 7-5, Oklahoma, the work was done essentially when you won the swing games against Michigan and Auburn. If Brent Venables is returns, then that tells me that he did enough work with the overall product, the way that it looked, and the way that they won in the first 5 weeks of the season, 6 weeks of the season to secure 2026.
Doesn't OU also have an AD opening right now?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think that opens, but
yeah,
I could be wrong.
Yep.
And I don't hate Arkansas, but like where I had them on this list pretty low. If you're just listening at home and not watching us on YouTube, which you should definitely subscribe. Even if you're an audio listener, you should definitely subscribe to the channel to help us out.
Absolutely.
If Arkansas is going to spend, like certainly possible, right? They have a very interesting like front office ideas going on there right now. We'll see if those prove to be like crazy like a fox or just crazy. We'll have to see. Arkansas, just like, look, if they actually spend, then they're much higher on this list. The way I wrote this was assuming current spending level. Like Arkansas right now does not spend. They're definitely bottom 2 or 3 SEC payroll for the roster.
And for those want a little bit of context, Bud, I believe that you were given this list.
Somebody gave me this list, said rank all these jobs. I did not create this list of just
not that you're grabbing some jobs that aren't open yet. You're grabbing some jobs that could
like
be.
We definitely think Florida's open, right? Like behind the scenes, Florida's open.
Yes. I think Auburn might be careening towards that level. We'll see.
Yeah, if I had to bet on it, I would bet that Auburn does open.
I would bet Wisconsin.
Although I might, just what they've spent on this roster, what could happen if you have a coaching change in terms of talent flight. I liked everything I saw from this roster except quarterback. I might give them one more chance to just throw some big money at a QB and get it right.
We were talking about the sliding doors and the small margins. If Drew Aller scores a touchdown against UCLA, maybe James Franklin has a job. And if they decide that Jackson Arnold did cross the goal line,
right?
I mean, is Auburn not opening up? Like that's
and they're making $50 million decisions off those 1 or 2 plays, which is nuts.
It's nuts.
Yeah. Are y'all surprised Wisconsin is not open? Or do you think they're just going to let Ohio State and Oregon just run them out of town?
There's a part of me that wonders if it's not just the coach that'll be going.
So that makes sense.
interim everything Barry Alvarez.
Yeah,
President athletic.
Barry might be
director.
running stuff again here in a few weeks for a while.
Because from a PR perspective, that's a pretty big game. You're going to have to trot Luke Fickell out there for interviews if you haven't fired him yet. It would make more sense to have the AD, if the AD is not getting fired too, to come out there and say, look, man, our process in hiring this guy was sound. He's the first coach to take a G5 team to the playoff. He sent multiple guys to the pros, from Cincinnati. I don't think there was anything wrong with our process. It just didn't work. We're still very committed to playing top-level football here at Wisconsin. We know the challenge is harder than it's ever been because the Big Ten West is gone, and now we have a much harder schedule. And also, for some reason, I guess I might be part of the reason, we're playing like non-conference games against the Irish and the Crimson Tide. But we still want to play. I don't know. I would try to put that message out there. Hey, we still believe in this program. But to Tom may just have it nailed here. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
All right. Well, we, of course, will keep you up to date with all the latest on the carousel as it continues to spin. But we do have business at hand here on Monday. So coming up on the other side, Poll Assassin looks at the new AP Top 25 poll. We've got a latest update to the college football playoff projections. And upon further review and more, next.
Only CBS Sports can bring you big time during the heart of Saturday afternoons. It's big time.
It's big time. It's big time. It's big time.
On CBS and streaming on Paramount Plus.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast on Mondays, we do like to take just a moment to look at the changes in the AP Top 25 poll. It is Poll Assassin. The Indiana Hoosiers, as projected on Saturday night, made program history number 3, the highest ever ranking for the Hoosiers. They had hit number 4 in 1945. They had hit number 4 in 1967, but they are now number 3. They got 3 first-place votes. Miami still at number 2, holding steady with 13 first-place votes. Ohio State in first place with 50 first-place votes. Now, the Ducks predictably slid down to number 8. Oklahoma takes a tumble as well. We get to see a return to the top 25 for the Texas Longhorns. USC, after that big win against Michigan, and as we talked about on Saturday night, lots of swapping in and out for those teams near the cut line. Tom, when you looked at the rankings or the ballots, what stood out this week?
The first thing that stood out to me was congratulations to Chip. Your propaganda to get Illinois unranked worked. Good for you. I'm very proud. But the bigger thing was our favorite, our boy Koki.
Koki!
Right. There are 33 teams that received a spot on a ballot this week. Okay.
Yeah, not a lot of other receiving votes. A lot of groups think, like this is the small. A 33 is smaller, and our friends from San Diego State. More on them later. They were at the lower end of the count.
Yes, but of those 33, Koki was the high or low vote on 7 of them by himself. If you consider being tied with other voters, he was 10. So nearly a third of the teams that were actually ranked, Koki was the high or low vote on. That man he's a maverick.
He's a big brain. He's thinking outside the box.
He is not a sheep. He is the lion.
What DK, anything stand out?
I was surprised Indiana didn't get more first place votes. And I think that has something. And again, it's not like Ohio State fans. I'm sure they're very upset. They don't like being held anything. I think Ohio State could be the best team in college football. There's no doubt about that. I just wonder still if Indiana gets looked at with a different lens because of their logo and because of who they are. And they're not getting enough credit for the job that they do, because I think now they have 2 really impressive wins, and they do have a common opponent in Illinois, who we saw what Indiana did and we saw what Ohio State did against the same team. Granted, one was home, one was away. And again, this is not a knock on Ohio State. I was just surprised Indiana didn't get a little bit more first place love. Well, that was a pretty dominant win on the road.
So
is that the best win of the season so far?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah. To go under the hood a little bit, Danny, Indiana, in terms of voting points, is the same distance from Ohio State at 1 that it is from Texas A&M at 4. So, surprised Indiana didn't get more first place votes. Sure, I can definitely understand that. But Indiana showed up at a lot of 2s,
Right.
that to be able to have that gap where the top 3 separated by the same number of votes as number 3 is to number 4, Texas A&M. And then also say about 100 voting points, 1433 to 1331 to get down into Ole Miss before things bunch up again right until about, I'd say 12. Georgia Tech,
top
that
3.
6-0, yeah, Georgia Tech, that 6-0 record kind of standing out right there. Bud, anything for you on your hit list?
Yeah, a couple things here. I don't really know why is USC behind teams like Missouri, Oklahoma? They obviously they beat
that
Michigan.
resume was paper thin until they beat Michigan.
Yeah,
And
but
they also lost
they
to an
did.
unranked Illinois.
Illinois is a decent team.
Right, but it's like if you're trying to wrestle the head-to-head of it all, and Illinois came in at 26, the 113 voting points, they were very much a presence on a lot of ballots where USC was also there. So I think that you can't just fly USC all the way up when both of their conference wins are against teams that are a combined 0-6 in Big Ten play.
That's fair.
It's a good team, though. I'm with you. Like if we want to spin this forward,
2-1 in conference.
Like so, and Michigan is unranked, but Texas is ranked. Do you like Texas' resume over Michigan? Because Texas got walked by not very good Florida team.
Tom, I should have corrected my language. The previous 2 wins, Michigan State and Purdue, combined 0-6 in Big Ten play.
So now they're 2-7.
It was a paper thin resume before. I think they've got a very good, very, very good resume now, thanks to the Wisconsin win.
I mean, USC's next 2 games are road games against Notre Dame and Nebraska, so that'll settle itself one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean, this is the season for USC.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited.
And Notre Dame. I mean,
Yes.
it's the season for both of them.
Oh, baby, college football playoff elimination game. Maybe just maybe that makes an appearance on Tuesday's Big Ten show on CBS Sports Network with a little big game breakdown for the Trojans and the Fighting Irish. A reminder, noon Eastern time on CBS Sports Network. Other than that, I didn't have any huge, throw your hands up. This looks absolutely ridiculous. Felt pretty predictable and mostly fell in line with expectations.
I think it's harder to do than it ever has been, honestly. If you look at the power ratings in 2019, the gap between the number 1 team and the number 17 team was 3 scores.
Or 3 touchdowns. Yeah. 21 points.
No, like 17 points.
Okay.
Right. Now it's 1 score. I was talking to Bill Connolly this morning about it. He put out a great graph on it as well. It's like teams 9 through 20 have basically stolen a good bit of talent off teams 1 through 8. Like there are so many more teams now that have a chance, and that means you're going to have a lot more losses, every year because just there's so many more teams that are capable of beating you.
Yep. We'll say though, the one thing that hasn't changed is the gap between 1 and 2. Because Ohio State's typically a 3-point favorite on the neutral against everybody, whoever you have at number 2 on your ratings. That's what I've seen across the board.
What did Washington do?
They haven't beaten anybody.
But still, they dropped out of the top 25. Were they not in it last week?
They were not in it last week.
No, they were not in it.
I mean,
they're hovering around striking distance right now. They need to start stacking. Yeah, they need to start stacking quality wins.
They only got.
How did Mississippi State get votes?
Because they're in the SEC. But
Jesus.
You wanted the answer. Washington only getting 6 points at home in the one game where it actually had a chance to impress somebody is what's keeping them from being ranked. Because you look at who they've beaten. It's Colorado State, UC Davis, Wazoo, Maryland, and Rutgers.
Yeah.
And they struggled against both Maryland and Rutgers before finally getting their act together.
Yeah, when I'm filling out my top 50 for the CBS Sports 136, Washington is continuing to climb with each win, but not putting them not having them well represented, though they are. See, 26, they're 28th right now in voting points, but still kind of a big gap away from getting into the top 25. All right, Bud, take us through the latest college football playoff projection. You've taken all the week 7 data, then you've run it through, and what is it going to give us?
Yeah, let's throw it up here on the screen. I'll walk you guys through it. So still have Ohio State as the number 1 team. I don't think that they're going to lose here in the latest modeling. I do have Miami and Texas Tech is pretty likely to go undefeated. I will note, I think there's some chance that Utah would have a chance in a rematch if Dampier is actually healthy. We know that Utah was kind of playing some games with his reporting on his health there into that Texas Tech game. He did not look right. And Texas Tech was clearly the better team in that game, and they dominated them. I don't know if he's fully healthy, if they dominate them in the same way, if that's the rematch. But I do have Ohio State, Tech, and Miami going undefeated and claiming the top 3 spots. This model run had Bama beating out an undefeated A&M in the SEC championship game. So A&M gets the 5 spot. No Indiana fans are not happy. I had Indiana 6 there. I had Indiana losing to Ohio State in the conference championship game. I think if the committee takes it, compares resumes, A&M at 12-1 conference championship game loser is probably going to get the nod over 12-1 conference championship game loser Indiana, just based on the depth of schedule. Although the Oregon win will certainly count for quite a bit there. I do still have Oregon getting home field in the playoff here, as the 8 seed. Still have Georgia getting in. They just keep winning. They don't. Look, Kirby Smart's a good coach. That's a good team. They're not a great team.
Everybody clap your hands. Clap.
Exactly. Tulane is the G5, but really there's probably 6 or 7 teams that are still alive there for the G5 race. Obviously, Old Dom losing to Marshall kind of kills that.
Whoa.
And this time Georgia Tech actually got in, so that was interesting. Do we think an 11-2 ACC or
loser?
Big 12 championship game loser is potentially going to get beat by a 9-3 non-championship game participant from one of the other, for the major 2 conferences?
Ooh.
Yeah, boy,
that's setting up a big argument. I'm just telling you, this is going to come up a lot, especially if it's Utah or Georgia Tech.
Yeah, it depends who the 9-3 team is. Like if it's Oklahoma at 9-3, I think Oklahoma gets the spot.
It might be Georgia.
If it's Georgia,
and it might be one of those games is Georgia Tech. Like, how does it look?
Yes.
Yeah.
If it's Georgia and it's Georgia Tech and they had head-to-head a week before, then unfortunately it's probably tough. You're going to have to win the ACC titles. Your only way to get in.
Or beat Georgia.
Right.
Georgia Tech can beat Georgia.
Absolutely. I mean, shoot,
Yeah.
They did it last year. Almost did it.
And
9 overtimes it took. So, yeah, definitely they could.
And look, Tech is not a reliable favorite under Brent Key. They're really good in an underdog role, but they routinely kind of screw around when they're favored. So there's not any kind of guarantee that they run the table in their non-Georgia and their non-UGA opponent games.
They're an underdog this weekend.
Right.
Against Duke. Yeah.
Big game.
I mean, huge game. So looking at this, we still have probably 25 or 30 teams whose fan bases are like, hey, we really still have a shot to make the playoff. I didn't always love the idea of going to a playoff, but again, I do think 12 is way better than 4. Just at 4, ESPN would be running these who's in commercials, and their message is basically, hey, everybody bet about 9 teams, your season is over. And that's just a shitty place to be as a fan because you're being beaten down, So this is why I think 12 is better than 4. If you want to go back to BCS, that had flaws as well. But to me, this kind of keeps reinforcing 4 was not a great number. Maybe 8's better than 12, but 4 was bad. So this keeps a lot of fans engaged throughout the sport.
With obviously Texas Tech in here as your Big 12 champion, and we're talking about Georgia Tech, or what would happen in terms of the Big 12. Rough weekend for the Big 12 in terms of the overall strength of that conference. The idea that this is not, a Texas Tech and the 15 Dwarves was really hurt by TCU getting dog walked by Kansas State. There was a couple other kind of
Iowa State lost to Colorado.
Iowa State lost to Colorado. When I was doing my my movers in the 136, I was noticing a trend of a lot of Big 12 teams that had been in that sort of 20 to 35 range were all starting to slip down, and that's That's not going to be the best thing in terms of trying to get two teams into the college football playoff.
Yeah, they kind of really need both BYU and Texas Tech to be undefeated in the Big 12 championship. Do they play each other in the regular season?
BYU and Tech,
Yes.
they do. I believe
Okay, so
BYU
they
goes to Tech.
November.
There's just no way that's happening then.
Boys, we
Right.
got Holy War this week.
Mhm.
Ooh, yeah, I can't talk about BYU or Utah, what their record's going to be till I see Saturday night out in Provo. One of many games that are very exciting about this coming weekend. All right, well, coming up on the other side, one last look at week 7. We go under the hood. It's called Upon Further Review and more next.
Name's Conrad Harrigan, family man. And if you cross my family, well, you'd better pray.
Mobland, new series streaming March 30th on Paramount Plus.
Back here on the Cover 3 podcast on Mondays, we get one last chance to be able to look back before we turn our attention ahead. We go under the hood. It's Upon Further Review. There were terrible calls. Do we want to go ahead and jump in?
After further review. After further review. After further review.
All right, Bud. Do you have the? Did you put in this Cassius Howell Texas A&M note?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about one of the best defenders in the SEC right now.
This is not about his little celebration dance after the game, but man, like A&M's pass rush is so much better than we thought it was going to be after they lost all those guys. And man, like he is a big reason why this guy is an absolute beast getting after the quarterback. We know A&M's offensive line is probably top 2 in the country. I would say maybe top 3, like kind of them, Miami, Iowa are all probably strongly in that group. Maybe Cole Kublik or Aaron have other teams they would mention as they work on the Joe Moore Award Committee. But Cassius Howell is a freak, man. This guy is good. His bend off the edge is special, and like he looks like one of these kind of classic pass rushers that a national title team breaks out there, and you just can't find a way to block him. Austin Barber, and I know it's PFF College, which is not as good as PFF Pro, but he had a pass blocking grade of 0. So that doesn't mean
he's supposed to get drafted, right? I mean,
that doesn't correct.
Yeah,
he's a solid player. That doesn't mean that he didn't have a single successful snap. By the way, like penalties do actually like give you negatives from how I understand the grading works, but a 0 ain't good, guys. So you're looking if you're a team like that, probably more high 60s, mid 70s. If you're a really good player, you're in the 80s, or like the rare players are kind of in the low 90s. 0 is not getting it done, and a big reason for that was Cassius Howell.
Let's stick with Texas A&M right there, because now it's time for the brilliantly boring wins of the week, brought to you by PNC Bank, where we highlight the boring actions that make the biggest difference. Financial wins and football victories don't just happen. They're built on dedicated, consistent, and often unseen work behind the scenes. It's the tactical moves and plays that create the foundation for the show-stopping moments in life and on the field. And I wanted to highlight Texas A&M for that 34-17 win against Florida, because I don't know how everyone else's Saturday night was, but it was a game that I felt like I was just kind of monitoring, because Texas A&M was doing all the right things in terms of creating enough of an edge. Then in the fourth quarter, they were able to hit the gas and go. So glad that we were able to celebrate that Texas A&M pass rush, a Texas A&M defense that has been able to take some steps forward each and every week. But it is also the balance that they have. Marcel Reed, 234 yards passing and a touchdown. The offense as a whole rolls up 183 rushing yards, 3 rushing scores. It's not always just breakneck pace and flying down the field, but it is sometimes just tiny little bits, and then boom, an explosive play. Danny, when you think about Texas A&M in this season, they are just continuing to climb up the rankings, 6-0. What stands out about the way that Mike Elko's got this team playing?
I mean, fundamentally sound on the defensive side of the ball. It was a little bit sloppy. They'd been plagued by penalties. They're slowly getting better there. I think Colin Klein, the offensive coordinator, is starting to get a better feel, and they're starting to utilize a lot of weapons that they have. Marcel Reed just continues to improve and the Concepcion Craver combination on the outside, I mean, they are absolutely one of the best teams in the country.
Yep. And those were the Brilliantly Boring Wins of the Week, brought to you by PNC Bank. Brilliantly Boring since 1865. Brilliantly Boring since 1865 is a service mark of the PNC Financial Services Group, Inc., PNC Bank, National Association, member FDIC. The helmet is 1-0, but the San Diego State Aztecs are 5-1. Sean Lewis's crew just absolutely laying it down on Saturday night. This Aztecs team continues to be a very interesting squad to watch out there in the Mountain West. When they beat Cal, we put a lot of that on a Cal no-show performance and a letdown spot. I mean, Tom, I kind of think that this is a little bit of a reevaluation of where this Aztecs team is at this point in the season.
I mean, I think that the four of us need to sit down, have a tough talk with ourselves about, did we, in our draft of G5 playoff potential teams, did we all screw up? Did we all forget to draft the team that's going to end up getting that spot? Because what if what we saw on Friday night in Denton kind of becomes the norm in the American, and those guys just eat each other alive, and next thing you know, they've got 2 losses, and then there at the end of the year is a San Diego State team that emerges from the Mountain West with only 1 loss and a win over Boise. I don't know. I don't know. And a win over an ACC team by 34.
I think they'd enter, so they don't play UNLV in conference play.
Correct.
So it's possible.
They get them in the championship game.
Yeah.
So they end up 11-1 with wins over Cal, Boise, and UNLV. Is the American team going to have that? They're going to have that resume? They're going to be all like, wow, Tulane beat Northwestern? I don't know. I don't know.
Navy might have something to say about that. You know,
that's where I do think it's going to be interesting, because the debate about the 9-3 SEC teams, the group of 5 record versus
wins.
You know, who do you think is going to be really intriguing, where you start looking deep into those are going to matter just as much.
I think as long as everyone has at least 1 loss in the group of 5, the committee is going to have carte blanche to just pick who they think is the best team.
Right.
I think they still show great deference to an undefeated G5. But I feel like if it's a 1 loss or 2 loss, they're just going to pick who they want.
Which, don't you think the American's the deepest conference, the group of 5?
Yeah, I mean, the American has a better non-conference record against P4 schools than the ACC does this year.
Woo!
The American's 6-11. The ACC is 5-13. Now the ACC still has a few more games left where they can make up that ground, but
or
widen the gap.
And for those who haven't checked it out, it's not just a San Diego State team that's had a couple defensive performance, but Jaden Denegal has really kind of opened up. The former Michigan quarterback kind of settled into his own as that offense the last 2 weeks has kicked it into high gear following they were a previous Brilliantly Boring Wins of the Week team after 6-3 at Northern Illinois, 45 points against Colorado State, 44 points against the Wolfpack. 2 words. That offense is humming now with Denegal at the helm. DK, anything upon further review, anything from the notebook that you want to? Oh no, you go ahead. I've got something. I forgot to put it in the doc.
I was just going to say, I am not making any emphatic statements. Last week, I thought hey, the top tier had started to separate. It was Oregon, Miami, and Ohio State. And then we saw Indiana. Even with that 3, the new 3 that are kind of elevating this season, I know Bud put out some stuff. Well, it was based on the SP Plus rankings that are out there. There is just, and we've talked about it a lot. It's become more of a common theme, but I think you're really seeing it as we get deeper in the season. We see these, conference plays start to go. There's just the parity that's out there is unbelievable. And I do think it's going to take a while for some programs to get used to seeing 9-3 as a really, really good season, because there's a lot. And Penn State might be one of them. And it's like, you're starting to realize, holy crap, maybe that was really good to be able to, achieve that. I mean, it looks bad. I know it's horrible. Losing those back-to-back games as 21-point favorites or more. I just feel like the parity's here and it's not going away anytime soon. I think it's for good.
When we were in Fort Lauderdale, you asked Jake Fettner from Sportsline about the spreads
Yeah.
And he was saying that they are starting to get even closer to NFL type spreads. And he backed up your notion. I saw this from ESPN's Dan Wetzel yesterday. SEC margin of victory, 10.7 points per game. NFL margin of victory, 10.8 points per game.
Wow, you're just going to do that to your very own podcast co-host, huh?
Did you put that out?
I put it out for every freaking conference, man.
So what's
and if you take Kentucky out, it's
even tighter.
It's probably real tight.
Do you want to read it?
Sure. It was this is just average margin of victory by conference and through week 7. SEC is at 10.73. Next is the Mountain West at 13.79, the ACC at 13.83, the Sun Belt at 13.93, the Big Ten at 14.18, MAC at 14.4, CUSA at 14.54, the Big 12 at 14.56, and the American at 18.05. That's in conference play.
Yeah, that's because when
there's a huge gap between the top and the bottom of that league.
Well, and it's also because when things go sideways in one of those American games, they go real sideways. Where even competitive games, like we saw on Friday night. With like a was he 63-36? That's what 27-point margin. Yeah, I that backs up essentially what my eyes have told me.
By the way, the national average is 14.17.
All right, Danny. I'm not going to declare it a full Knowles to go, but can we get a public service announcement, man? Like what?
It could not have been a worse Saturday for me. I had to bail on the studio crew because I was feeling like crap. Went home. Was like
there are some that were saying that you bailed because you were watching Florida State, and it
was before. It was before the Florida State game had kicked off. It was early.
Somebody in that studio was like, "Oh, we've got Bud here, we've got BMAC here, and we've got
we got all the Florida State guys.
State's about to lose. Let's get them all.
See you later.
Let's get them all on. Get them all on set. Let's go."
It is. I mean, it's different, but it's not that different to think where you could go from beating Alabama in week 1 to losing 3 straight games. The Miami loss, I mean, coming into the season, you're like, you probably thought you would have lost to Miami. You would have taken a 1-possession loss all day long.
Sure.
But thank goodness they beat Alabama, because if they didn't, if they were sitting here with only, with 0 wins against Power 4 teams, it's probably a different conversation. There are a lot of articles that are being written. I'm sure Bud has seen them about, hey, the writing is on the wall. It does feel inexcusable. Like, it is unacceptable by Florida State standard. I don't know how the offense is actually delivered, I think, on exactly what you wanted to see. Gus Malzahn, with his style of quarterback, they've actually been playing really well. And going into the Pitt game, you would have said, man, we're down squirrel right, a starting tackle. Like, boy, I hope our offense can deliver. But if you put up 31 points on the board, you should be able to win. And I'd say the defense specifically has been the biggest surprise, biggest disappointment that we've seen out of Florida State. It's hard to explain. I will say, like, and I don't think it's time to fire anybody. The win total was 7.5 based on the roster that was out there. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how you stack up against Clemson, who's getting better. Let's see how you stack up against Florida. But my goodness, you have to win an ACC game before you even start talking about those. And unfortunately, if they lost on the road to Stanford, we might be doing an emergency podcast. I don't know where the money would come from, but it just might get so uncomfortable that it's just, I don't know what you would do.
I mean, his buyout's very line item as well. Like, you can just pay it out through 2031. I think the question there is, like, if you did do it, who's making the hire? Like, they may have a very Wisconsin type discussion in Tallahassee, where I don't know if the AD is going to get to make another hire there if that happened this year. It's probably more of a win, not if question, but like the win might be 26. We don't know.
Okay.
But I think they're very out on this experience. Like, you can't be just losing conference games like that.
Okay.
You're not in the Big Ten. Like, you're facing a lot of teams that don't have rev share money. You spend a whole lot on football. That's just not acceptable. I think it's over. Just questions when.
What's the was Florida State included on the list of jobs that you were asked to rank?
No.
How does that look?
Well, I mean, they're like you're going to get double-digit bonus money for sure this year in millions from the extra revenue coming off the ACC thing, which also makes it a lot easier to make a move here if you need to. Where's my list here? Shoot.
Listen, the money that we get from Pitt beating us on Big ESPN and the noon slate is going to pay Mike Norvell's buyout. What a world!
Yeah, if you're spending like 30 or 40% more on your roster, I think it's pretty reasonable to expect to beat those teams that you're outspending by that margin. If the Dodgers were constantly losing to the Rockies, you'd have some people fired. And FSU's not the Dodgers, but like relative to what they're spending against a lot of these teams that they play in the ACC, they are. So I don't think that's like crazy Florida State fan expecting to beat, bottom
Pitt.
2/3 ACC teams. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
At home.
But like Norvell has consistently had this team unprepared to play the non-name teams on their schedule. Like they just screw around with these games.
Yeah, 1-10 in ACC play since the start of the season.
Yeah.
And last year does skew it, obviously.
It would not surprise me at all if they make the move this year, like at all. I'm not saying that will happen, just like that would not be a surprise.
It'd be because that's another one.
You should have done it last year, but it's just such a weird sport right now. Like you go 2-10, that's unacceptable.
Is Florida State a better job than Wisconsin?
Yes.
Oh, easily.
Come on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Come on. Don't be insulting, Chip.
Jesus, Chip was the one to ask that on this show. That's something I would typically ask.
That's a Tom like generate discussion. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it.
I will say the 26 schedule is actually really difficult. So you may want Norvell to wear those losses in 26 and then start fresh.
Danny, Florida State or Iowa State?
Whereas Penn State has like a nice schedule in 26.
Stop it. Stop. Tom's just rubbing salt in the wound. I'm still sick, by the way. You're still making me feel worse.
You're sick too? Yeah. Tough.
My goodness.
Tough scene. I think we had a super spreader last week in Tallahassee.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm fine.
Well, you got out right before the virus crept out. All right. Anything else we want to get on the record before we start to turn our attention forward to week 8?
CJ Carr should be in the discussion for the best quarterback in the country.
Ooh.
Yeah, he's playing really good.
He's real. Yeah. Like he and Simpson both had bad week 1 jitters and have since played extremely well.
CJ versus Maeva will be a fun game.
Yeah. Maeva's in that conversation too.
Yeah. How about Jakeem Stewart, the true freshman defensive lineman for USC, who's out there letting it be known that he's
good, man.
He's a good player. That USC Notre Dame game should be a lot of fun. It will be among the games that have our attention when we are on CBS Sports Network, noon Eastern time, with a look at week 8 in the Big Ten. So come and watch us live. But if you miss it, that's okay. It'll be on demand on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. We will be back live here at youtube.com/cover3 Wednesday, 11 a.m. for a little big game breakdown. Then locks on Thursday. We'll be rocking and rolling into week 8. And you can follow him on Twitter at Tom Fornelli. You can follow him at Bud Elliott 3. You can follow him at Danny Kanell. Follow me at Chip _Patterson. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.